Unemployment is up to 3.7%. Let's have a look. Good evening, everyone. Florian here, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Grab your stein of coffee, or as I have it, ice-cold water at the moment, and, well, lemon water. And let's check out the latest release from the ABS regarding the unemployment rate. It's now back up to 3.7%. You go. You know what? Let's check out, before we look at that, I'm just going to bring up Trading Economics. And let's see what the expectations were for this unemployment rate prediction. Now, a good YouTuber would have organized this all beforehand, but, that's too much fun. This is something I'm doing, at the end of the day after work, do a bit of YouTube. So here we have unemployment rate 3.7. The TE, Trading Economic Forecast, was 3.6. So it's worse than the forecast from Trading Economics, but in line with the consensus. So not really a surprise. So the unemployment rate increased by 0.2 percentage points to 3.7%. In October, seasonally adjusted, according to data released today by the ABS. Bjorn Jarvis, ABS head of Labour Statistics, said, with employment increasing by 55,000 people and the number of unemployed people increasing by 28,000 people, the employment rate rose by 3.7% in October. Was this because the participation rate went up? This is back to around where it had been in July and August. I mean, statistically, over the long term, this is still a pretty low unemployment rate. The largest increase in employment in October followed a small increase in September of around 8,000 people. Looking over the past 2 months, these increases equate to average employment growth of around 31,000 people a month, which is slightly lower than the average growth of 35,000 people a month since October 2022. The employment to population ratio increased by 0.1 percentage points to 64.5%. The participation rate also increased by 0.2 percentage points to 67.0%. Monthly hours worked increased by 0.5% in October 2023, similar to the employment growth of 0.4. However, the annual growth rate in hours worked had reduced to 1.7%, down from around 5% in the middle of the year, and less than the annual employment growth of 3%. Compared with the labour market just before the start of COVID-19 pandemic, the growth in hours worked was still greater than employment at 10% and 9.2%. However, the gap between them had recently narrowed, having been much higher for most of the period from October 22 to 23. The recent slowdown in growth of hours worked may suggest that the labour market is starting to slow, following a particularly strong period of growth. So here's the seasonal adjusted employment and hours worked. Underemployment and underutilization. Now that's a concern when people aren't getting enough hours. The underemployment rate remained at 6.3% in October, in line with the updated figure for September. While this was 0.4 percentage points higher than October 22, it was still 2.4% lower than before the pandemic. The underutilization rate, which combines the unemployment and underemployment rates, rose 0.1 to 10%. This was 0.7 percentage points higher than last October, but 3.9 percentage points lower than March 2020. So, the underlying trend data. In October, the trend unemployment rate remained at 3.7%, in line with the updated figure for September. Employment grew by around 28,000 people. Hours worked fell 0.1 in October in trend terms. Over the past year, employment has increased by 2.8%, and hours worked by 2.6%. In trend terms, growth in hours worked has also been slowing down recently and has now fallen for the past 4 months. This suggests a softening in labour demand compared with the strong growth in hours during 22 and 23. The slowing in hours is also reflected in the compositional change in employment growth, with part-time employment rising faster since the middle of 2023. In contrast, full-time employment has been increasing steadily through to mid-2023. but has seen very little growth since. So here's the trend of full-time and part-time employment index to April 2022. So, I mean, look at the flat. What's going on here? So full-time employment has flattened and part-time employment is going up. So is that people taking on an extra job to ensure they can pay the mortgage? Is it businesses only increasing capacity partially because they're not 100% confident? You tell me. The employment to population ratio remained at 64.4%, having been around 64.4 or 64.5 for the past 16 months. The participation rate dropped, from 66.9 to 66.8, remained at around these levels for the past 9 months. The relative high level of employment to population ratio and participation rate shows the ongoing resilience in the labour market, with growth in employment broadly in line with population growth. The underemployment rate remained at 6.4% for the 5th straight month, and further information is available soon. Now, the survey was between the 1st and the 14th of October. November reference period is from 29th to 19th, 29th of October to the 11th of November. Now, this is the ABS data, everyone. There's another organisation that have their own unemployment rate, and they do their own survey. Now, I know we're all going to be envious of the mega financial gigachads that can only work 1 hour within that survey period and be considered employed. If you can pull that off, that's awesome. That's a really slow week. if I only got 1 hour charge, all that'd be worrying. Or it's a holiday. But for some people, good on them. But that's a tiny proportion of the population of our country. That's not something to worry about. It's something to aspire to. It's also called retirement. And here's the Roy Morgan data. And we'll just wait for that to load up. So they've got it from September. Their October data is 9.9%. What they're considering, I got it, I know how to draw on these things. What they're considering as the unemployment rate. Now, the rule of thumb is you kind of double the ABS figures to get to the Roy Morgan figures. They've got a different methodology, which is better, which is worse. That's up for debate. But the ABS data is what will be used to inform our political decision-making process. That's the reality of it. Honestly, I think the Roy Morgan figure seems a bit more on the money. It just depends, honestly. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's the ABS data which is going to affect everything. So, October 23, a massive 3.12 million Australians were unemployed or underemployed, 20.1% of the workforce. Okay, so that's all the unemployed people and all the people who are underemployed. They're people who want to get work or want more hours. The biggest concern I have is youth unemployment. Now, let's have a look if they have that here in the ABS statistics. If they have the unemployment rate for the youth, because that's what I was really worried about from the whole, pandemic hysteria, that resulting in youth unemployment that could leave a legacy that could last their whole lives. Old fuddy-duddy not working, it sucks, but it's not as bad as someone who's just at the beginning of their career and then just doesn't skill up enough and becomes a NEET and just sits on their ass not doing anything. Not even smart enough to turn that into like a Twitch career. So let's have a look here. What do they have? Underemployment rate. Yep, I want to look at the youth unemployment. Employed people. Key statistics. Do they not have youth unemployment here? I mean, here. Let's look at this, guys, from 2013 now. So in a decade's time, look at this unemployment rate here. Okay, this is the pandemic. And this is just since then. It's just gone nuts, hasn't it? I can't even draw with this mouse. It's just crashed. So we're not even at 5%. What was the trend? 5.5%? Then it went down, shot up. So there you go. Full-time employment to population ratio. Here we go. You've got, this is always fun, looking at the differences between men and women. You can see just, well, more men have to work. Monthly hours in all jobs. Where's youth? Where's youth? Look at the difference in participation rates. Yep. Underemployment. Okay, even that's lower. Everything's low. So, we may be seeing unemployment is up, but everything is low compared to how it was in the past. It's easily adjusted. Here we go. Nope. Underemployment. Where do they? Okay, they don't have youth unemployment here. Why do they not have? Where's the youth unemployment? Maybe. When you think that, okay, underutilization, I'm going to have to go to their bloody Excel file and find it. You know what? Let's bring up the all. I'm using Windows 11, so I'm not used to the new interface. Wait, does it have youth unemployment here? Okay, well, look at it. Here we go. If I can't trust the ABS, I can go to good old Trading Economics, and it has it all here. So, youth unemployment in Australia increased to 9.2% in October from 8% in September. The youth unemployment rate in Australia averaged 13.15% from 78 until 2023, reaching an all-time high of 20.1% in October 1992. I remember I had friends who just got out of uni then. Or just got out of high school then. Oh, it was a nightmare. A record low of 7.2% in July 22. Oh, I didn't know that was a record low. Is that the government handing out money for everyone? So, does it have a prediction here? It doesn't. But, I mean, okay. So, youth unemployment, okay, it's at 9.2%. It's higher than it has been for some time, but we're coming off a record low. If we look at the max data, there you go, guys. Good. So I'm not worried about that. So let's have a bit of a chat, guys. Oh. There we go. I'm getting it working. Getting the setup working. Well, take care, everyone. Thank you all for watching. I think this is some, encouraging figures, particularly about youth unemployment. And, we just have to keep an eye on it all. As always, take care. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.